I had owned a Tiger Moth back in the 70s, so I'd always had a love of vintage aircraft, and in 25 years or whatever we had the business, I'd always wanted to get back into warbirds or into vintage aircraft. So when we sold the business, I went sort of hunting for warbirds, and the Anson had been for sale for quite a while in Australia and looked pretty awful. It had been pretty heavily modified into a freighter after the war, and they kind of tried to make it look modern in the 60s and butchered it up a bit. So we saw some potential to put it back into this state. So yeah, we bit the bullet and shipped it back over here and started work. I thought it would take about 3 to 5 years to get a finish to how we wanted it and flying again, and it ended up taking 10 years, so it was a bit longer. Well, yeah, we had 5 40-foot containers of bits and pieces, because I actually bought another airframe as well, just because it still had all the military equipment in it, which I knew we were going to need to restore this thing properly. So in 2002 we started work on the centre section, and that was about 18 months of work. We had to reskin the trailing edges of the wings. All the woodwork was totally rotten, so we had to replace that. The windows weren't even there because they'd filled them all in, so we redid all the glazing. The cowlings themselves, we got the just most beat up, rusty, corroded looking old bump cows, and managed to replace the skins that were rotten, but all the actual helmets, the bumps on the cows are all original. Some of them had holes in them, and we've welded them up and wheeled them out, and they've actually come up pretty well. And it just, to me, that's what really makes a Mk.I Anson. Is that, without those cowlings, it just would not look right. I thought I'd have trouble finding a gun turret, but Graham Orphan ran an ad in the Classic Wings magazine for me, hunting, and we ended up with about 5 of them. Hen houses and parrot cages, but they were all pretty rotten and stuff, but we managed to get enough, and the Air Force Museum still had the original moulds for the perspex, so they lent us those, and we were able to get some pretty nice glass in it. So.
Well, the dedication of Bill and his team of family and friends has certainly paid off, as they can now not only boast the world's only airworthy Anson Mk.I, but one that is so authentic that from the inside, you'd think you'd arrived in World War II. wanting to pay attention to the target as well. Put that in the back.